Hello everybody. So I'm going to be ranking the best players, in my opinion, from the Australian team in the Australia versus South Africa Test Series. Now there were 14 players used. I'm going to start with number one and work my way down. So my number one is Travis Head. His performance in the first test, where it was really hard to bat on, and Australia might have lost if not for him. I think it was just phenomenal. Everybody else was struggling, getting out for single figures, barely making it to double, and he almost got 100. And we went from potentially losing, or maybe just edging ahead with South Africa bowling up a storm, to just winning by an innings in 2 days. And it's just phenomenal. And I really think that he deserves a lot of credit for that. And I mean, he didn't get as many runs in the other matches, but he also, he didn't really need to, and he got enough runs. Like he was the second highest scorer overall, and considering he got the hard runs, and then he took wickets as well, and battened down the order, and was just phenomenal. So he's my man of the series for me. Number two for me is Cameron Green. I know he only played 2 tests. He wasn't amazing, but then he got that 5-wicket innings, which was just phenomenal in the second test. Then he injured himself. He still got a 50 while he was injured, so that's a really good performance for me. So he's my second best player. My number three is Alex Carey, the wicketkeeper. Got a century in that second test. Runs were already on the board. It was a bit of an easy runs, but he still did his bit. And he was also, of course, he was keeping wicket. He did a reasonably good job with that. Didn't really make any major mistakes, at least not that I'm aware of. He did reasonably well. So I'm giving him my third pick, and then I'm actually picking number 4. I am picking David Warner, and I know he got the Player of the Series award, which I think was a bit over the top, but he still got that double century in his 100th test. The first player ever to do so when he was out of form, or at least not scoring runs, had a lot of pressure on him, all that sort of stuff. And so in that respect, they were hard runs, even though it was a high scoring match in the end, but he was opening and it was in the first innings, so it's always hard to know. And so there was a lot of pressure on that, and I think that he really did well. And of course he retired hurt due to dehydration. It was a really hot day, and came out later because he was out almost straight away when he came back out. Got another low score, and then got one more low score in the third test. But it was that double century which was really difficult to do. So he's my number 4. So as for my number 5, I'm actually going to go to Pat Cummins, and I think Pat Cummins really did bowl the whole way through, taking consistent wickets, and he was really the only pace bowler that bowled in all the matches, and having to lead all of that, and he scored a few runs here or there as well, I think was really important. So he's my 5th best player. And I'm going to pick my number 6. He's a bit of a tough one, but I am going to go with Nathan Lyon. Again, yes, it was a bit of a bowler series, but Nathan Lyon was the only spin bowler, except for when Ashton Agar came in the third test and was absolutely hopeless, and just led that attack. And there were times where he was really scary and very dangerous, and bowling quite miraculously. So he's my number 6. My number 7 is Usman Khawaja, and I know that seems really harsh. He just got 195 not out, but there was zero pressure on him with that. Just casually lazing around. In the end, we went for the declaration to stop him from getting a double century. Seems harsh. And look, by no ways does that mean that he was playing badly. He had a pretty good series. He's in a fair amount of good form, and he kept going even when David Warner wasn't really scoring up the other end, and just casually got 195 not out, and really did deserve that double century and deserved the Man of the Match award for that, but not quite there for Man of the Series for me. Still don't know. Well, I know why they gave it to Warner, because essentially they had a choice of the 3 Man of the Match award winners, and Warner perhaps showed a bit more heart, even though I think in terms of match winning probably should have gone to Head. So after that, who else am I picking? So it does get a bit tough after that. I'm probably going to go for Steve Smith after that, number 7. Scored a few runs, was decent without being amazing. Marnus Labuschagne, number 8, similarly, was reasonable without being amazing. And Not too much between those two. Number 9, I am probably going to go with Scott Boland. He bowled really well when he did bowl. Did his bit. You know, haven't got any complaints about him whatsoever. So number 10, I'm probably going to go for Josh Hazlewood. He came back in, he only played in one test, did really well. Look, it is tough to say whether Boland's ahead of Hazlewood. Look, I probably would put Boland ahead. I would put Hazlewood ahead. So I'm actually going to put Hazlewood at 9, Boland at 10. You know, they're pretty tight right now, those two. Boland very unlucky to miss out on that match in Sydney. Really should have played, but probably not instead of Hazlewood. Probably should have played instead of Agar. Going to get to him later. Number 11 is Mitchell Starc, who, look, I think that he is no longer in our top 4 bowlers. I think Boland has surpassed him, but I suppose the variety that Starc brings does mean that Starc is still in contention, and also Starc's a bit of a batsman. At least he can bat a little bit. Boland really can't. And yeah, there is still a place for Starc in our thoughts, but at the moment he's just a little bit behind. He did bowl with an injured finger and still took some wickets, but yeah, it's not quite there. Not too bad, but just not quite. But then we have our ones that didn't really do very much. So after that, who we have? We had Matthew Renshaw. Really didn't do a whole lot. I mean, 5 runs off 11 balls. The only time he batted, didn't bowl. Not out, that's good. Didn't really do a whole lot. And yet, he's probably going to make it to India, in spite of that. I mean, he didn't get out. So where's the complaint? He's our next best batsman. But there's probably still a distance between him and the ones who are actually playing. And yeah, bottom of the rung is clearly Ashton Agar. He was nowhere near the others. Everybody else, I think, can hold their heads up high. I think everybody else really had a pass mark. I'm giving Matthew Renshaw 5 out of 10. Everybody else I'm giving more than 5 out of 10. 6 or more. And you know, even Mitchell Starc, he tried, he's 6 out of 10. You know, Steve Smith and Marnus Labuschagne, no, they didn't do that much, but still 7 out of 10. But yeah, Ashton Agar's so far behind. He didn't score any runs, well, he didn't bat, that's not his fault. He didn't get any wickets, and he bowled twice. 10 wickets were taken. He didn't take any of them. The other one, only 2 wickets fell, fair enough, he didn't take any out of 2. But that's a combined total of none out of 12 wickets to fall. You're one of only 4 bowlers. So the average should be 3. He's got none. It's a bit below the average of 3. What are you doing? And we really needed him because we went with 1 bowler short. Only going with 4 bowlers when we normally go with 5. Travis Head had to take some wickets. Had to bowl with Steve Smith and Marnus Labuschagne as wicket takers, not just filling in space. Ashton Agar, you are not going to India. If they send him to India after this, I will have a few words to say to them. I'll be saying, hey, what are you selectors doing? Picking Ashton Agar, there's a million people you can pick ahead of him. So I don't think I missed anyone in my calculations, but yeah, so clearly for me, Travis Head was the player of the series. Should have been given the award, but wasn't. And I guess I can see the merit in picking David Warner because he did have to show a lot of heart to get those runs in his 100th test, and he got a double century, didn't just get a lazy 50 or so. And you know, it definitely was a match-winning performance in that match, and he was vomiting, and you know, there was a lot of heat, a lot of pressure on him, not just for the 100th test, but also, you know, the ball tampering, the band trying to be lifted, and all this internal squabble. I think to come back out and do that was really quite impressive. And however much we can look at Travis Head and how well he did, I think that in a lot of ways there was some merit to putting Warner in there. I don't think it was completely awful. Probably wasn't completely on merit, but it wasn't so far off to be ridiculous. So anyway, that's it from me. Bye bye now.